The first slide that you see has the most important information on this webinar, and that's my email address. And that's because a question might occur to you after the webinar, and you might think, oh, I wish I kept that guy's email address. Maybe he would answer my email. Well, if you copy this down now, or if when you get a copy of the PowerPoint, Eric will send it to you, you'll have that email address, and I do like to hear from you. I did, for example, a workshop a couple of weeks ago in New York City, and I've gotten 3 emails from participants with suggestions, and one of those suggestions I've used to improve this one. So let me hear from you. Let's go on to the next slide. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to actually look at a few or parts of a few video-based websites that have videos, instructional videos, that are suitable for adult learners. Some of them were designed specifically for adult learners or for teachers of adult learners. Others were not, but they've been carefully chosen because they have something to offer. Let's go to the next slide. We'll start with one right now. This is called Teach Parents Technology. And Google's staff, which you probably would guess are all young people in their 20s probably, 20s and 30s anyway, kept getting questions from their parents and grandparents and other family members. How do you do this? How do you attach an image to a file? How do you find a file that you have put someplace but you don't know where it is? How do you join a discussion group? You know, all kinds of technology questions. So as it turns out, Teach Parents Technology has about 50, I think 52 videos at this point, all very short, usually under a minute, and they all show you how to do something. So Eric, let's go to Teach Parents Technology.
Okay. No, that's not the one. Hang on one second.
There we go. That's it. So let's, now that we're here, let's scroll down the page. And there's a link that says, see the videos. Let's click on that. Select video, not videos to send. There's another link. I'm not seeing it. Maybe it's in a different, oh, view all videos. That's it. Yep. So just scroll down this page. There are 5 or 6 different pages with little videos. And just pick another page or two so people can get a sense of what the range is. And one more page. And now let's look at a video. Let's go back to the first page, and copy and paste is one that many adult learners and teachers for that matter need to learn how to do. So here we go. Click on it. Let's watch the video for a second.
Copy and paste lets you take text from one place and put it somewhere else. For instance, say you're on a website and there's a really great paragraph that you want to send. Select the paragraph by clicking before the first word, holding the mouse button down, and then dragging the mouse until just after the last word in the paragraph. All the text will become highlighted, so you'll know it's selected. Next, you have to tell your computer that you want to copy it. Click on the Edit menu from the top of your screen. Then select Copy. Now the paragraph is stored and ready to be pasted. Next, open up your email and compose a new message. Click your mouse where you want to paste the text, then click on Edit at the top of the screen, and then select Paste. And voila, the paragraph has now been copied and pasted. I hope this helped, and I look forward to getting emails from you soon.
Great, so all these videos are very short. They're all by young folks, from my perspective, young folks anyway. They all show you how to do something, and most, if not all of them, use some kind of Google feature, of course, because these are Google employees. But as it turns out, a lot of the things that they demonstrate are things, in fact, that adult learners want to know. So let's not look at more videos there at this point. I think you've got the flavor of it. But let's stop and see if you have questions about how to use this, questions about,
I'm sorry, David.
or maybe comments about how you would use this with your students.
Okay. So raise your hand and I can unmute you, or you can ask a question via the question feature. Anybody? Thoughts on this one? Okay. Well, I will say, David, I think one of the things that this highlights is that, as with most tools, and particularly tools on the internet, they may have started out their life as being designed for one thing, but then they can take on lives of their own. All right. So,
Yes.
as adult literacy educators, we're always on this perpetual scavenger hunt to think about what materials and resources we can use with our students. And, something like this, you can easily repurpose for your students.
In fact, when I showed a couple of these videos in a workshop in New York City last week, one ESOL teacher said, you know what I would like to do? I'd like to show my students these videos, not so much for them to learn from the video, but for them to see what a short video looks like that demonstrates how to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would like them to make videos showing how to do things. And it might be technology or it might be something else.
Right.
Which I thought was fabulous. I guess he has some equipment that he can access to do that. So maybe some of you would be interested in doing that as well.
Okay. Rose comments. Rose says that she needed this long ago. It's helpful for her. She's being over a certain age. Rose has not been easy for her with this technology age. So LOL. So Rose is up to speed with the acronyms, though. Michelle says that since she teaches older students computer literacy, some of these videos could work for them. Thanks for the website. I didn't know about it.
Great. And I have to say, I've learned a few things from watching these videos myself. So maybe there are some of the videos that you yourself would be interested in, or you might want to share them with other teachers at your program so that they could use them or they could share them with their students.
And I think, David, that's actually a really important point too, that that it's really important to share with our students, right? I'm currently teaching a class at MSU at Montclair State University in New Jersey on technology, and certainly there's things that my students explore or figure out that I hadn't heard of before or I didn't know about before. And I always welcome that information and say, oh, I didn't know about that before. It's really, I'm learning too. So if your students figure things out that you don't, that's good too.
Absolutely. Well, let's go to the next slide. And we're going to look at YouTube. And you might say, YouTube? With all that garbage up on YouTube? Why are you showing us YouTube? And the answer to that is 3 or 4 years ago, I would not have shown you YouTube. But there has been an explosion of education videos on YouTube. So, Eric, let's go to YouTube. And let's search for education.
Okay.
Now you might say, well, education is pretty broad. A lot of stuff is going to come up, and you'd be right. So let's see how many videos they have. 2,270,000 videos. That's more than there were yesterday, by the way. So let's narrow our search. Let's type adult education. So, well, that will narrow it. Let's see how many adult education. 160,000 adult education videos. Now, not all of those are good. Not all of them are relevant. Let's narrow it further. Let's pick essay writing. Actually, you can get rid of adult education. Well, that's okay. So with adult education and essay writing, we have 1,150 results. And before we move on, take a look at this one. Don't click on it, Eric, but this particular video, which has been up for 9 months, has 30,248 views. 2 days ago, it had 29,000. It's gone viral. And it was not designed for adult learners. It was designed for teachers, for GED teachers, as a professional development video. And we'll take a look at it a little bit later. But this is a very interesting phenomenon, which is the viral video. What's happened, in fact, is that almost all of the people who have chosen this video are people who are interested in passing the GED writing exam. And in fact, some of them on YouTube have commented that they think this is a great teacher, that they passed the writing test because of her, and things like that. So this is a very important phenomenon. There are probably learners in some of your classes who have already searched YouTube and have been looking for, let's say, English language videos or other videos that could help them supplement their learning. I met a few GED students. I was traveling around the country visiting GED programs. I met a few young GED students, let's say in their 20s, and they had handheld devices, web-accessible devices like smartphones, and they went to YouTube and they looked for videos that would help them study for the GED. They also said something that I thought was quite fascinating. I said, so do you find videos by Googling them? And they said, Google? Oh, no, that's old hat, you know. They didn't say old hat, but they said, no, that's yesterday. So, well, how do you find them? I said, well, my main search engine is Google. I'm sorry, is YouTube. My main search engine is YouTube. Now that signals something very interesting. That means that people are still searching for information. They're going to the web, but they're looking for videos. That's an eye-opener. At least it was for me. Okay, we're not going to spend more time searching on YouTube, but I recommend it. I think there's good content there. There's a lot of garbage too, but there's good content. And if you, for example, are teaching something and you'd like to see how somebody else approaches it, or if you want to provide some supplementary instruction to your students, you may find a good YouTube video. So let's see if there are any questions or comments on that before we move on.
And certainly, David, organizations around the country have created their own YouTube channels. So, for example, in Kentucky, Kentucky has their own adult ed channel on YouTube that has lots and lots of videos for both teachers and learners. It's free to start your own channel on YouTube, so you can both organize your own videos and upload videos that you create.
Some of you may teach maybe tutors in programs, and you may be interested in examples of, for example, ESOL tutoring. Pro-literacy in the US has a pro-literacy media channel on YouTube, and they have maybe a dozen instructional videos, authentic tutoring videos with some introduction to the method or techniques that are being used. So that might be of interest. I'll show you a little bit later the Media Library of Teaching Skills, which has its own channel on YouTube.
Okay. Rose says that she's going to certainly use it to broaden her teaching skills and techniques. I think Veronica says she has students that want transition from ESL to college level courses. And the video would be helpful in assisting them to be prepared for the AccuPlacer test. Certainly. I mean, the thing about YouTube is it provides English of a wide variety of levels, right? So you can find the target level in your target area and really, watch videos that deal with that. Degoria says she had no idea that YouTube would surpass Google for pertinent info. Or that's where people think it is, but
Yes, right. That's where young people are going first.
That's right.
So let's move on. Are there other comments, Eric? Before
not
we
right
move
now.
on? Okay, good. So probably most of you have heard of Khan Academy. Has anybody used Khan Academy? If so, raise your hand, your virtual hand.
I see no, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people have used it. Lorraine says she's used it. Yeah, so a few people have used it here or there.
Okay, great. So first, let's go to Khan Academy. That's the top one, not the bottom one.
Okay.
So this is what it looks like. Most people know Khan Academy for math, but if you could scroll down, Eric, in addition to thousands of math videos, there's also science, there's computer science, humanities, and test prep, some kinds of test prep. And I think they're planning to expand into other areas as well. There are, as you can see, 4,000 videos on Khan Academy. Now you might say, well, biology, chemistry, physics, astronomy, this is all way beyond my students. My students are at a beginning level. But if you teach math, the math videos begin with simple one-digit addition. So Eric, let's actually watch a few minutes of the TED Talk video in which Salman Khan introduces the Khan Academy. I don't know if anybody has seen this, but it's very entertaining. I recommend the whole video. But we'll just watch a few minutes now. And Eric, you can enlarge that. Great.
Khan Academy is most known for its collection of videos. So before I go any farther, let me show you a little bit of a montage. So the hypotenuse is now going to be 5. This animal's fossils are only found in this area of South America, a nice clean band here, and this part of Africa. We can integrate over the surface, and the notation usually is a capital sigma. National Assembly, they create the Committee of Public Safety, which sounds like a very nice committee. Notice this is an aldehyde, and it's an alcohol. Start differentiating into effector and memory cells. A galaxy. Hey, there's another galaxy. Oh, look, there's another galaxy. And for dollars is their $30 million plus the $20 million from the American manufacturer. If this does not blow your mind, then you have no emotion. We now have on the order of 2,200 videos covering everything from basic arithmetic all the way to vector calculus and some of the stuff that you saw up there. We have a million students a month using the site, watching on the order of 100 to 200,000 videos a day. But what we're going to talk about in this is how we're going to the next level. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about really just how I got started. And some of y'all might know about 5 years ago, I was an analyst at a hedge fund, and I was in Boston, and I was tutoring my cousins in New Orleans remotely. And I started putting the first YouTube videos up really just as kind of a nice to have, just kind of a supplement for my cousins, something that might, give them a refresher or something. And as soon as I put those first YouTube videos up, something interesting happened. Actually, a bunch of interesting things happened. The first was the feedback from my cousins. They told me that they preferred me on YouTube than in person. And once you get over the backhanded nature of that, there was actually something very profound there. They were saying that they preferred the automated version of their cousin to their cousin. At first, it's very unintuitive, but when you actually think about it from their point of view, it makes a ton of sense. You have this situation where now they can pause and repeat their cousin. Now they can, without feeling like they're wasting my time, they could, if they have to review something that they should have learned a couple of weeks ago or maybe a couple of years ago, they don't have to be embarrassed and ask their cousin. They can just watch those videos. If they're bored, they can go ahead. They can watch it at their own time, at their own pace. And probably the least appreciated, aspect of this is the notion that the very first time that you're trying to get your brain around a new concept, the very last thing you need is another human being saying, do you understand this? And that's what was happening with the interaction with my cousins before, and now they could just do it kind of in the intimacy of their own room. The other thing that happened is, I put them on YouTube just
Okay, let's stop, Eric.
You know,
this is Salman Khan, as you probably gathered, and his argument here is kind of interesting. His argument is that with video-based instruction, you don't have somebody watching your performance. You're in control. And if you want to watch the video any number of times until you get it, you can do that. If you have a whole bank of leveled videos and you've forgotten something, you can go back and catch up. You are in control of your learning, which I think is kind of an interesting idea. He does not believe, he says actually later in this presentation, that he does not believe that people should do all of their learning online by watching videos. He recommends actually about 50% of their instructional time be watching videos and 50% be with a teacher. And if you go further in this TED Talk, he introduces what's called the flipped classroom, which is quite an interesting idea. And not only are a number of public schools doing this, but I think there are a few adult education programs that are considering doing it. And the idea is, instead of doing a presentation in the classroom, you do your presentation on a video, or you find a presentation on a video and you assign it for homework, and that students would watch it in the learning lab at your center, or they'd watch it at home if they have access at home or from work or from a library. And then they would take a quiz, if there's a quiz attached to it, and then they would come to class and you would have the data on how many students actually watched it, how many passed the quiz, how many didn't, and you could work with the students who didn't pass it, who needed more help. Or, as he suggests, you could develop a peer tutoring system so that students who did pass it, who did get the concept, could work one-on-one or in small groups with other students. So it's a way of doing individualized instruction. It's a way of freeing teachers time to actually work one-on-one and in small groups with students. So let's see if you have some comments about Khan Academy. Those of you, for example, who have used Khan Academy, tell us about your experience. And those of you who have questions, please ask your questions.
Right, and you can either have me unmute you and you can tell us via your microphone, or again, you can continue to type up through the question section and I can read your response. Wait time's always more awkward in online situations. Appropriate wait time in a classroom, and we're all looking at each other and communing with each other and you're thinking about your thoughts. But online, it's always a sort of awkward silent pause.
How would you use Khan Academy with your students? Or would you? If you wouldn't, why?
Carol says she likes using it for math as an alternative to her classroom explanations for solving problems.
Mm-hmm.
Lorraine says she's used Khan Academy as a supplementary tool. She's also given the websites to the students to use on their cell phones.
Oh, great. They must have smartphones.
Yes.
Web accessible cell phones.
Don says students who did not feel confident about something in class loved being able to see someone else give the lesson at their home. I to kind of give a different perspective on the lesson too. Okay. Veronica recommends to students for brush up on the GED test. And Raga said if she used it, she would use the flipped classroom concept. Phyllis says she's used Khan for her GED students to use at home because many of the computers in an academic environment are YouTube blocked. Yes, this is an issue. So.
Yep. Good point. That is a problem in some places.
Before we move on to the next thing, I would also say that Khan Academy is not without its critics, and there are people who are specialists in particular disciplinary areas that have looked at some of the videos and have found some of them sort of lacking would be the kind word, and at times they're critiqued for giving incorrect information at the higher level math and some of the higher level sciences. So it's like a lot of other resources on the web where it's free, and the sort of theory is that like anything else, you need to triangulate and to kind of check things. But there's going to be times when you maybe not have not that ability. But there are people that have some questions about some of the videos.
That's a great segue because I am one of those people. I have some concerns, not only about some of the videos, but I have some concerns about the way some teachers are using Khan Academy. And so I put together a list of resources on the web for math teachers, for adult math teachers. And you can get this. You can download it for free. It's a 21-page list. Eric is in the process of downloading it right now, and so you'll see the introduction in just a minute. And as I was writing this, I was also working with a national group of adult ed math teachers on a discussion list called the Numeracy discussion list, which used to be just a discussion list. It's now migrated into a community practice on Links, L-I-N-C-S. If you don't know about Links, you should. It's a terrific resource for you. Anyway, in the process of doing this, some math teachers enlightened me about some of the errors. They enlightened me about the basic problem with the approach. And some of you who are math teachers will probably be thinking this already. The problem with the approach is that it's all functional, or it's all based on teaching algorithms. And the problem with that is the Khan Academy approach does not, as far as I can tell, does not teach math thinking, does not teach math in context, does not teach math as a language in which one thinks. And that's a big issue, and not only for math purists, it's a big issue for anybody who is preparing people for the GED starting in 2014, because a lot of the GED math is changing to be concerned with thinking about how what you would use in order to solve a particular problem. So actually, Eric, why don't you just scroll down the introduction a little bit so people can get a sense of what's here. There are topics. What I've done in the pages that follow is link in the websites, and I think there are a dozen or so websites, including Khan Academy and others, into those topics. So for example, if you're a math teacher and you want to, your students are struggling with division of fractions, let's say, you can actually go to the division of fractions section and see which of these dozen websites has a video on that. You can preview those videos. You can select the ones that you think are appropriate for your students. Incidentally, one of these websites is one that we'll be talking about in just a bit, that some of you are probably already familiar with, called TV411. So let's leave the math, the ABE and ASE math videos list. You can get this, you can download it free. It's in the website, I'm sorry, it's in the PowerPoint that Eric will make available to you.
Okay.
So let's move on quickly to the Media Library of Teaching Skills. This is a bit different from any of the websites we've been looking at so far, which really are videos for your students. These videos are for you as a teacher. And I am actually the creator of this particular website and project. The way it got started is kind of interesting. It actually probably, the seeds for this were sown in 1986 when I was the director of the Adult Literacy Resource Institute in Boston, and wanted to know, as a new director, what teachers needed in terms of professional development. So I went around to a number of programs, talked with a number of teachers, and was quite interested in how they answered my main question, which was, if you could do any kind of professional development you wanted, anything at all, don't worry about expense or logistics, what would you do? And a large number of people, the majority, said that what they really wanted to do was to see what was going on in other teachers' classrooms that were where teachers were teaching the same thing they were at the same level. And some of you are probably smiling as you hear me say that, because maybe you would like to do that, but you're well aware of how impossible that is, that in order to do that you would have to get a substitute. Most adult ed programs don't have substitutes. So that was one seed. Another seed was a GED teacher in Frankfort, Kentucky, a guy named Barry Burkett, who about 10 years ago had the courage to put a video camera in his classroom, and he videotaped himself teaching. He then put it up on the internet, and he sent the link to a discussion group, a national adult ed discussion group, and said, well, what do you think? And people said, well, this is interesting. We haven't seen an adult ed class on YouTube before. And so why didn't you use two cameras, one on your students and one on you? And why didn't you edit it? Because it's certain parts are kind of dull, and if you edited them, you could probably make it much more interesting to teachers. So this is a teacher without any particular expertise in video, but he had the courage to go out and learn it. So he learned some video editing, and he bought another camera, or borrowed one, I don't know, and made another video. And I guess he went on to make a few more after that. And I realized from watching Barry's videos that this was a new era, that teachers could make their own videos, and that videos could be made authentically in classrooms and could be done fairly inexpensively. And I put the two ideas together and said, I could go out with a colleague who is actually a professional videographer, and we could make videos, authentic videos in classrooms, and we could put them up on the web, and we could make them available to teachers all over the country, actually all over the world, who wanted to see what was going on in other teacher classrooms. So the idea here is this is not a Department of Education sponsored best practices website. This is an authentic adult ed video website where I would describe the videos as being in the range of okay to excellent. There are no, I don't think there are any horrible lessons in this bank of lessons, but I do think that some are better than others. And actually there's a great advantage there, because as teachers watch these, they comment, well, you know, I see what she's doing, but I like what I'm doing better. I think I'm much more effective at teaching that. Or, oh, wow, she does what I do. That's confirming. Or, no, I don't like what she does, and I don't like what I do. I haven't seen the solution to how to teach this yet. So, Eric, let's actually look at a Media Library of Teaching Skills video. Somebody asked me when we first developed this, how do you pronounce MLOTS anyway? And I said, well, somebody the other day asked me how many videos I expected to see on the website. And I said, lots. So I guess that's how you pronounce MLOTS, or lots. Here we are. This is the Media Library of Teaching Skills. This is all free, of course. And we'll just scroll down, Eric, so people can see what some of the categories are. Adult secondary education, some of you know this as GED or EDP in some cases, external diploma program. Lots of ESL, including ESOL and family literacy. Some numeracy videos. Actually, the first video we made was one of the best, I think, on a numeracy classroom where a teacher actually helps students to think. Reading, writing, And then I think there's just one more category, which is computer-assisted instruction. I'm not sure that's up there yet. So there are maybe, a couple dozen videos that we have made, but I want to call your attention to something else, which is this link at the very bottom of the page, Eric, where it says other people's other adult learning videos. Could you click on that, please? And just scroll down this list. Now, these are not videos we have made, but we have indexed these videos in, and there are another, maybe at this point, 60 or so videos, including some great ESOL videos by Haida Wrigley. There are classroom videos, there are technology videos, how to integrate technology into your classroom. There are some tutoring videos, one-on-one tutoring videos. There's just a great range of videos here. So if you are, for example, interested in professional development yourself, you could just go and look at these. Or if you pulled together a small group of teachers at your program, let's say over a lunch break, you could watch a video. Most of these are under 10 minutes, some of them are as short as 5 minutes, and you could talk about it. Some of the videos that in fact, most of the videos we have done include some discussion questions. So you could take a look at those, or you could develop your own discussion questions. So Eric, let's go back to the main page, and let's take a look at this numeracy video, the ratio and proportion one. Again, this was one of our first ones, so it doesn't have all the parts and pieces. Let's watch just a minute or so of that. There's no sound at the beginning.
Hi, my name's Abby McGee, and I teach math at Notre Dame Education Center in South Boston. I'm teaching a pre-diploma class, which is a pre-GED math class. My students come from all over the world. I'm using the Empower lesson plans, which tie in with the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks. And today I'm teaching a lesson on ratio and proportions. So this picture in your book, on page 58, is a reduced picture of the Mona Lisa, and it's in proportion. It's just smaller than the original. The original, the height is 30 inches, and they tell you that.
Okay, Eric, let's stop.
Okay.
I should have mentioned that some of you probably are watching a delay or seeing a delayed reaction, or you're seeing the sound stutter. That's because this is going through the GoToMeeting platform and then being distributed out to the viewers. When you go directly to any of the websites that I show you, you shouldn't have that problem. That is, if you have broadband access, which you probably do. Okay, so let's stop at this point, see if there are any questions or comments on the Media Library of Teaching Skills. While we're waiting for people to comment, I have some thoughts about if you're thinking about using videos with your students, some things that you might think about. First, and this is probably the most important thing that I'll say about this, that is to preview the video before showing it or assigning it to your students. There are a lot of bad videos out there, or a lot of inappropriate videos for what you're trying to do that don't use the right approach, or that don't really address the students that you have. So you want to preview it first. Now you might say, oh, wow, I have to look at all those videos. That's a lot of time, and that's not time that I get paid for. That's volunteer time, and I appreciate that problem. So I have a suggestion, and that is if you have other teachers at your program who are interested in using videos, and if they teach the same subject and ideally at the same level, you could come together and you could divide up the work. You could choose, a list of videos and say, okay, over the next 3 months, we're all going to preview these. We're going to preview these videos, but we're going to divide up. But we're going to use the same criteria for looking at them, and we're going to develop a form that we all agree to use with the same basic questions. Is this a video we would use to start with? And then if not, don't answer any of the rest of the questions. There's another variation on that, which is maybe you're the only teacher who teaches GED at your program, and you'd really like to look at GED videos. So you organize all the GED teachers in your city or your area or in the state of New Jersey, and you form an online group, and you divvy up the work, and you all agree to look at maybe a half a dozen videos and to respond to them and put together a list of recommended videos. So in other words, the idea is to share that work, not to do it all on your own, because it is a lot of work to review videos.
David, as part of that process, I mean, anytime you take on a project like that, you'd want to make sure you're more or less on the same page, in terms of how you're evaluating something, which leads me to sort of promote the use of Google Hangouts for people that haven't used it yet. But Google Hangouts is a way that up to 9 people can video conference at the same time, and you can look at videos together in real time. You can edit documents together in real time. But to take on a project like David was mentioning, you could agree to go to Google Hangout and watch a video and stop it and talk about it. And you don't have to be in the room. You don't have to be in the same room. You can be in different areas of the state, different areas of the program, and watching it in real time together using Google Hangout as a way to video chat.
That's great. I haven't done that. I'll have to try that. Thanks, Eric.
Okay.
So if you do develop a form, just to give you an example, you might start with, well, what did you like about this video? How would you use it with what level of students and what subject? How long is the video? Does the video have any accompanying materials like a quiz? Does it have any downloadable printouts? Some real basic questions would enable you to make a judgment about whether or not to use it. And I suppose a simple rating, somewhere between excellent to okay. Someplace along the line, once you have students watching videos, they should also evaluate the videos. And again, a very simple format, something like, what did you like? What didn't you like? Did the video help you learn? Yes or no? And if yes, what in particular was helpful? And then other comments.
David,
keep it simple.
Oh, sorry. There's a question from Rose who says that she's the only teacher in her adult class, and that she finds the class is divided as far as learning, and that the ages range from 22 to over 60. And she's making very good progress, but she was wondering if you had any suggestions on how to manage it better. So I think maybe Rose's question is, are there videos either about kind of managing the diversity of learners within a classroom, or videos that are designed for such a diversity of learners?
Well, that's a very complicated question. The multi-level classroom is the norm in adult education in the United States. Even classes that are leveled are still multi-level classes. And there's no really simple answer to that other than use a variety of media and print media as well as online media, and have a way to determine where various people are in whatever learning they're involved with. Now, for example, if you use Khan Academy, it has a very, very good management information system. So you can very quickly see where every student is on every single video, just at a, push a button and there it is. So there may be some other things, though, that you have available. I'm not sure what you have, Rose, but maybe you have an integrated learning system at your program that has a management information system. or maybe you have a paper-based tracking system. So the key is, if you have people at different levels, you want to know where they are, and you then want to group the people who are at the same level and work with them as a small group, or do peer teaching, where you match students who have already mastered those particular goals or competencies with those who have not. But it's much more complicated than that. That would be another whole webinar. Now, as to whether there's a video or a good set of videos on that, I haven't seen any, but there would be a great thing to look at on YouTube and to see if anybody's put anything up. I'll certainly pay attention to that, and if I find some things that I think are good, I would add them to the Media Library of Teaching Skills down at that link at the bottom of the page.
Certainly, I think there are some modules out there for different level classrooms. I did one a couple years ago for pro literacy, whatever it's called nowadays. Lorraine chimes in saying creating an outline or note taking as a way to guide the learning might be helpful. And Michelle suggests a book called Generational Learning Styles by Julie Coates. And she's actually at the ISBN, but that's great. That's great. But Generational Learning Styles by Julie Coates. Thanks, Lorraine, and thanks, Michelle, for those suggestions. And as David said, this is a really complicated topic. And looking at the time, we've got about 7 minutes or so. So I think we'll move on.
Okay, just a couple of comments, a little advice here. If you assign videos to be watched outside of class, be sure that your students know how to access them, and also how to access the controls, things that you may take for granted, like play, pause, stop, rewind, fast forward, how to use that little slider to move ahead or back, how to enlarge the video to fill the screen, and particularly for ESOL students, if a video has closed caption, how to turn that on, because closed caption videos can be a very valuable tool if you're learning a language, in this case, English. Also, some basic things like encourage students who don't understand something or can't do it the first time, encourage them to rewind it and play it again and again and again, as many times as they need. And if there is a quiz attached to it, encourage your students to take the quiz and make sure that you have a chance to look at the results of the quiz.
Okay.
And then lastly, if you're looking for professional development videos, obviously check the Media Library of Teaching Skills on YouTube. And in some cases, for example, that teaching the 5-paragraph essay that we looked at just briefly earlier, there are lots of videos on that, and you could probably watch maybe 20 different videos, and you might see different approaches. And that, for professional development, is often very useful. Oh, wow, look how differently people teach that, and which is the best way for me to teach it. Okay, I think we have time just to look at one more. We're going to look at TV 411, which I hope some of you already know about. Incidentally, there are several other sites that are included in the PowerPoint here that you'll get. We Are New York, which some of you may know about. One that you probably don't know about, if you're an ESOL teacher, this might be useful. It's called Connect with English. It was developed about the same time that Crossroads Cafe was developed. Crossroads Cafe, you probably know there's a charge for. Connect with English is free online videos, and it's a very compelling story. Actually, it's a soap opera. But it's designed for English language learning. And then probably most ESOL teachers here know about USA Learns. So we won't really dwell on these because chances are pretty good that many of you know about them. But let's take a look at TV 411. Particularly if you teach science, there's this new section called TV 411 What's Cooking, and as you guessed, it's about cooking, but it's really about teaching science using cooking as the context. And I've heard some rave reviews about this, and I've looked at many of the videos myself, and I think they're top-notch. So scroll back to the top of the page, Eric. Reading, writing, vocabulary, math, science, finance, and also notice that some of the videos are in Spanish. This was made by Education Development Center in New York City. These videos and accompanying print materials are all free. I recommend this very highly. So comments on TV 411, comments on any of the other sites, questions. I think we have about 3-4 minutes left.
Right. As David said at the top of the hour, I will be sending a PDF with this, so all these URLs, you don't have to write them down or have a photographic memory, so you'll be able to check those out. And Kristen, can you stay on for a few minutes afterwards? Okay. So Raga's looking for a set of videos that make up a whole course for ESL, such as grammar. Any proposals?
Yes, I would suggest USA Learns. There's one limitation to USA Learns. You can't use it in a learning lab. It's designed to be a distance learning course where somebody logs on from their computer. But once you put it on a local area network and have a bunch of people logging on, it crashes. So it wasn't designed for that purpose. But if you're using it as supplemental outside of class, you could use the whole site. It has a management information system and a number of other things. It's free. It's actually funded by the U.S. Department of Education. It's top-notch and very widely used. I think millions of people have used it at this point. So that's the first I would recommend. There's also in one of the resources that's included in the PowerPoint, but I haven't shown you, is something called the literacy list, which I put together. And there is a web address for the literacy list, in particular the videos page, but the literacy list, which you can access from newsonassociates.com, my company, is free and has, you scroll down to the bottom of the page, Eric, and then you'll see publications. Click on that, and then literacy list. Great. So I think the second one from the top. This I started developing over a decade ago, and so let's click on websites for teachers and adult learners, just for example, and then once you get there, go to ESL, the third link down, and there are lots of really good websites. And some of them I've just recently indexed with that red logo. Those are the ones that have videos. But there are lots of things that don't have videos that would be very useful to you here. So if you're an ESOL teacher, you might want to take a look at this page. You might also want to take a look at the video page, which is also, you have the video page listed on the literacy list new videos page slide on the PowerPoint.
Okay. Lorraine also mentions, she says thank you for these sites, and she also mentions that the uscis.org has some teaching tools for teaching citizenship.
Yes, excellent. And that's the place to go because there's only one citizenship test and it's used all over the country, and they've tailored their instruction specifically to the test.
Thanks for sharing that, Lorraine. All right, so it's the top of the hour. So any last minute questions? Usually I try to get the PDF out within the next couple of days along with a certificate for your professional development saying that you did this hour with us. And if this is the first time registering, you'll get future mailings about other webinars coming up. So I hope I see you next week and the week after that, and that I see you May 10th at the NJAL conference. And the other thing that I'll say is that because we have this service already in place, if you have an idea for a webinar, you can contact us at njalmail@gmail. Either that you yourself would like to facilitate, I can help you with the technical aspects and you just be responsible for the content. Or if you have a webinar that you'd like to see us do, we could try to track down somebody like David who's able to do it for us. So,
and Eric, are the webinars archived this year?
We have saved them, but we haven't uploaded them anyplace yet. We're in the process of reconfiguring the NGL webpage, and we're trying to figure out where to host the archives of the webinars. So we have them, but we don't know where they're going to be yet. Okay. All right, so any last minute questions? All right, well, be safe in the weather today, everybody, and I hope to see you online soon and then in May at the conference.